So, in order to address these concerns, we must understand that the community that we're in for Horizon is a great space, but to make the pretty much impossible possible, right? And also to make things possible. So, just to understand one thing is that there is not a specific way things should go. But however, Horizon does have guidelines that they do put out to say we have to follow for community disturbance, but they only judge us off of what they can find for data, right? They judge by our interactions and we report, and they judge by when they have people and specialists to check on us when we do stuff, when we create. So we just thought this panel would be informational, and it's definitely an open forum where you can feel free to, say how you feel, but also ask the questions you want answered. Okay. So we will start. Give me 1 second. Let me see.
So based upon you guys have been here, I want to go down the line to start it off and to when you guys, each one of you have been onto Horizons and has a code ethics and your opinions have come this far. Has it progressed? Has it changed? It's the first time that you have started. Bubblegum?
Hi everyone. First off, it's an honor. Thank you for coming today and giving us your time. I've been on Horizon since about December. So as far as the code of ethics goes, today we'll be discussing that. Can you repeat the second part of your question? I think you cut off just a little bit.
Thank you. So from the beginning that you've been here, have your code of ethics have changed or diverted or have stayed the same? What have you seen since the time that you've been here up until this point?
So personally, my code of ethics hasn't changed, but when it comes towards working with other creators, it has. I had kind of like an open door policy, but now as I believe in my artwork and the people that I work with a lot more, I value this platform immensely. So because of that, I look at this as definitely a business. So my outlook on how the work is treated and put out has changed. So it has transformed, and we'll get into that a bit more as we progress.
Ms. Page?
Hello. Thank you so much, Horizon News and Radio. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I have been here in Horizon World since the very beginning. I was part of the first 25 creators who was introduced to Horizon back in 2019. And
wow.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
OG. Super OG.
Did anyone
Yeah,
know
give
about
it
that
a-
in
give it to the
2019?
OG.
Wow.
Thank you. And truly, Horizon has become, in so many ways, my hopes and dreams because of each one of you. How this has changed my code of ethics or the way that I work, well, truly, in the beginning, we started collaboratively. Projects like the Horizon Art Museum's climate hackathons and Nava K's Heart of Community, which featured artists, really set the tone right from the beginning that Horizon Worlds was going to be a place of community and collaboration. So my code of ethics has only increased in collaborative nature and learning how to really be only attached to the way the community grows, not the way the world looks.
Right.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you've each created incredible worlds, and in the beginning there was only a handful of worlds, and now there's tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Incredible.
Mr. Oculus himself?
Mr. Oculus.
Hey everybody, Oculus 410 here, new to Horizon, still figuring out how to teleport. No,
All right.
I've been in here since last February, and when I got in here, I was really looking for a social
Uh.
connection during the pandemic, being on lockdown. I really wanted to socialize. And so, from literally the second day in here, my ethics that I brought from out in the physical world to into Horizon has pretty much remained unchanged, with the exception of trying to help other people to better understand the warning signs of maybe who not to work with, or how to protect your creations, how to
Mhm.
protect yourself, and just to be smart when it comes to making business moves. So my code of ethics has really followed me into here, but it's evolved with this platform of all the capabilities that everyone here has the ability to create, to be able to make spaces for themselves, for people to enjoy. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this panel with these amazing creators and leaders in this community. So I can't wait to share more about, what we feel that's not only going to benefit people in this room, but people, for years to come.
Amen. I like
Mr. Rupert,
that. That's awesome.
thank you for that. Mr. Rupert?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. CJ, thank you for creating a platform where we can have this discussion. And thank you for allowing me to share the stage with these amazing creators right here. So for me, it might be a little different the way I look at it. And only because it's not so much my code of ethics, because I think as people, we usually have a set of core values that we follow for the most part. It's no different being here virtually or physically. I think what changes though is as you start to understand the space is the purpose. My purpose absolutely changed since I've been here, because I came in here, all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at the possibilities of being a creator and how to monetize that process. But the more time I spent in here, I learned that the true value is in the people, right? Creativity is great, but we all know you can create these amazing worlds that there's no community behind, because you don't have the people there to support you. So the purpose in there became all about the people in the space, and just moving through it ethically. I know we're going to talk in a lot of discussions, but I don't think conducting business in here is a bad thing. If we all watch the keynote from Zuck, his intention was for this to become an economy. I do think, though, the way we create that ethically can be an issue, as people seek to monetize and do things that are questionable. And again, I'm not judging anybody or the way they choose to do it, but ethically, I think we have to remember that we're people behind these avatars. We're not AI robots. We have feelings. We hurt, we care, we love, we cry, we laugh, and I've done all of those things in this space. So yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Thank you, MetaClean. And on to you, CJ.
I'm CJ. Basically, if y'all don't know me, I'm just, I've been around.
In the
I've
baby
been here
chair.
since, I'm in the baby chair today because
You're in the high seat.
y'all are big time creators, and
Right.
I don't feel like I should be
CJ
up here.
low share.
Oh.
I'm normally behind the scenes because Rupert tell you I'm always behind the scenes, but I've been here since December. So as far as my code of ethics, it's been the same. I value when I got here, I learned the system, like the tester and editors, tab and stuff like that. I understood that it meant something for you to be a tester, and it meant something for you to be an editor. So you had to be careful about how you dealt with people or all of that, because you just couldn't make everybody a tester. You just couldn't make everybody an editor. So I mean, as the time goes, it kind of stayed the same, because I was lucky. I was around a lot of people that was trustworthy, real cool and real down to earth. But at the same time, I learned, things can change around here very quickly.
Yeah.
Things and people can change as well too. Go ahead, Trish.
Yeah.
So
Literally.
thank you guys. I
So you
really
have to be
appreciate you,
careful.
number one, for making time to be here. I know you guys want to go back to the building and y'all may have not had time or go back to work, but I really appreciate you for taking the time.
Whatever.
So even though
Stay
we're
here.
talking about code of ethics, right? So code of ethics, just to give a little definition as to why it's really important. Code of ethics is described to be that it provides a common set of rules or a standard for all in the profession to adhere to. If we treat this as a business, we all should have the understanding that it's respect as a business. This is not a game, but for some people it is, but you have to be, I guess, mindful of who you do business with. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, another definition, it says it defines best practice for the profession. It provides bias to meet compliance requirements for the profession, and also provides legal standard for the profession. So everybody, I don't know if you've taken the time, but if everybody can pull up their menu, we might all disappear for a second, but just so you can see this, just so I can, right? If everybody, takes the 3 little dots, right? We're probably all in this meeting. Click on your little horizon thing. It will show you in your settings menu, all the way to legal. These are the standards of which you can either be banned, you can have true real life legal action come about from Horizon. When we talk about assets, or we talk about, let's say, theft,
Ownership.
ownership, plagiarism, and I work in real life as a fraud investigator. When I see things where people decide to say, oh, that's, similar to what I have, or, oh, that seems like it's more inspired or it's stolen, we have to come to a place where we say, let's be real. Real life is brought into meta. Meta technically doesn't exist, right? To some degree, but at the same time, there's different rules that have not been set, but there are legal rules that are set based on Horizon's guidelines. So if you want to be technical, that's why we're here today. So, so the questions, we'll jump into those with you guys. And yeah, so the first question is, I guess since I'll just go over the definition as well. Let's do that first. So if it says to be stolen, so if there's anyone that ever had a claim to say an idea was stolen, or a world was stolen, or an asset was stolen, right? It's considered theft, and theft is described to be the action or crime of stealing. It also means that it has to deal with appropriation, which is the action of taking something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission. It also houses the word steal, which means take another person's property without permission or legal right, without intending to return it. And then also to copy. Copy is a similar or identical version of, or to reproduce. Okay. So just so we have those definitions, but the question, go back. Okay. All right. So the first question we're going to ask is going to be about inspiration versus, let's say, a stolen idea. Yeah. So it says, what makes the difference between stolen and inspired based off the definition in the real world we live in, opposed to, I guess, the standard of what's inspired by you, which is kind of the free term, versus stolen. So starting with Bubble, or if anybody wants to interject, it's just a general question. So the question again, what is the difference between stolen and inspired?
So I think inspired is, of course, when you see something and you take parts of it and then you build from that. For example, I like your hair. I could take parts of the bun and build from that and create something new based off of the inspiration of how something looks. Stealing something is when you take the entity of that thing in itself and duplicate it and just create it and say it's yours.
Right.
But that brings up a whole different can of worms that that basically is why we're here today, because I feel like when it comes to stealing, as you said, legality and legal just hasn't caught up to Horizon and the metaverse and VR itself yet. So those lines are very much so blurred.
We are in a great space.
We are.
Yeah.
But I do believe that stealing is stealing, and stealing comes back to morality. So it really all depends on your moral compass as a person. What do you think, what do you think stealing is? So what is your opinion on stealing? What would you say it is?
The prime example I can give you, let's say we all know that we have our own gizmos. Like everybody has the same gizmos.
Exactly.
And if we all decide to, hey, we're all going to make a beach, right? We're all going to use the wave sound, right? We're all going to use something to generate some type of sand. Maybe just use like a, you take shapes to make things and make bigger, larger images. We may come up with the same thing, or it could be inspired by someone else's to say, I may have done that differently. But I think a problem that is a common issue is not giving credit to the idea of what inspired you. And a lot of people take that and run away and say stolen or mine or possession, and that's not a real thing. When you can have that conversation with that person if it triggered you or made you feel away. But anybody else want to talk about that?
And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna add, and then
Are you right? No, you're
I think
fine.
it comes from two things.
After you.
Yep, two things. Two is like, do you know how to? And I know this sounds so silly because we daydream every day. Do you know how to take inspiration properly? And do you know how to reach out and say to a person, hey, I was really inspired by your work. I like this. This is how you do it. Like, I've brought plenty of people into my world, like, hey, I'm inspired by this. Would you like to be added on as a creative? That's one way that I do it if I really like something, which doesn't happen often, but it's a courtesy, and I know it's a headache and it's a lot, but there's nothing wrong with no. And last thing, I saw shoes on that this creator made that I really, really liked. And I was like, hey, would you like to do something? And it was a totally different platform. I was like, would you like to do something together? And the person was like, hey, this is a different account. This person has trademarked their stuff and they are not interested. And I said, okay, there's nothing wrong with hearing no. No helps us and evolves us into better artists. And it's going to save you a lot in the long run, because let's say you make something from somebody else's idea and then you get big. That can come back to bite you in the ass, excuse my language, later on in the long run, So it's best to be open and do it now. Treat this game like it's your portfolio.
Such wise words, Bubblegum. Thank you. I really want to build on what you're saying about honoring people when you are using one of their assets. Always give credit to the person or the asset creator or the person who created your sound or inspired you. There's nowhere in a world that special thanks doesn't fit, right? Like there's always capacity for that. And if you can't find that, then ask yourself, is it appropriate to be using somebody else's? So I want to share a little bit about some of my history. For the last about 5-6 years, I've been on a IMLS government supported committee that redefines the ethics surrounding digital remix use. And one of the reasons why being on this committee is really important to me is because of my art project, passion project here. You may know Horizon Art Museum, which rebuilds works of art from museums around the world. Thank you. Well, legally, that works because it fits inside of the Fair Use Act of 1977, as well as fair use, and these help create a parameter that allows me to do this, as well as creating a relationship with museum collection officers in different museums. So when you think that you want to create something about an artist or a brand, best practices means that you reach out to those owners or that company or brand with that IP. You don't want to assume that it's okay. And there's some sticky gray areas. For instance, if you built a world that included the name Frida Kahlo, you're able to not do that because the name itself is actually trademarked from and protected from her family. So it's important. Certain things are worth the extra measure of a deep dive of of researching. If you're creating things that are an homage in your mind, they might also run the gray line of IP and infringement. There is a group, it's called Metaverse IP and Copyright, on Facebook, and I welcome you to join it and add to this discussion. I'm actually not somebody who knows all the ins and outs, and so your voice and your research help add. Now, I'd like to share one last story about somebody approached me around New Year's, and they were really upset. They said that somebody stole their idea, and they went on to tell me that they had this idea and they stated it in a Facebook group, and then somebody else went ahead and built that. And I asked them, well, what was your idea? And she said, to build my home. My world was called My Home, and somebody else created my home. She said, I was certain I was the first person to ever build my home in Horizon. And I kind of had to chuckle because actually she was probably like the 70th person maybe to build a home in Horizon, right? And so also, so that's a great thing to, if you think that you are being infringed on, to like take a minute and do a little research on the back end also. Maybe you're not the first person to create XYZ, and that claim also can be like work against you. So you are amongst a community building homes. You are amongst a community building shops and malls and games, right? So you're really not the first, and you're not going to be the last.
Yeah.
But always prioritize that giving thanks, right, to your collaborators, your co-patriots, and the people who hold you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige.
Thank you
Paige,
so
for
much,
that.
Paige.
I do want to circle back because I remember, Mr. Oculus, that you were talking about giving thanks to VR. You had a situation, I believe, or a topic with certain people going to VR chat and creating worlds in here and not giving those thanks. Is that correct?
No, it wasn't me.
No.
I don't go to VR chat.
He's
I don't know if y'all know this,
guy.
but
Somebody
my
else.
PO
He
box
is.
is one meta
Yes.
way in Horizon Worlds globe.
He is a Horizon
I live
World
here
loyalist.
every
yes.
day.
Yes. But have
Every
those, I
single
mean, I'll
day.
know that a lot of people come to you about comments and
24/7.
conversations, comments, especially with these topics as well, too. So what are your thoughts and comments and your perspective?
My perspective is going to be a little not just one-sided, and nothing against anyone's perspective or views, because that's their thoughts, their opinions, their view, and their perspective. But I always try to look at it from multiple sides, because there are conflicts that happen, and there's three sides to every story. You got each person's side, and then what really happened. Your perspective is how you view what's happening around you, and that could be a little different. So for me, the first thing I start off with is an idea. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving legal advice, but if I tell MetaClean that I'm going to build Horizon News and Radio World because I was in here at the Horizon Radio and News World, and I flip it because I want to just copy it outright, I think the law dictates intent. But in here, there's no laws. There's nothing governing other than the terms of service that was previously mentioned. And while they were talking, I was skimming through the terms of service, and it is endless. It is endless terms of service. And there's provisions in here that are repeated 3, 4, and 5 times. And what I saw in here is that basically you have intellectual property, but it doesn't state that your worlds are intellectual property. Your ideas are intellectual property. Your assets are intellectual property. It just says intellectual property belongs to you, and you share the license with Meta to use for distribution, sharing, and anything that is within your privacy settings. So when it comes to when it comes to conflict over an idea, I think it's similar to with law. It's intent. if I have the intent of stealing something, republishing something that I know I didn't build because I feel some kind of way about the creator, the intent is you're doing it without any inspiration. It's literally a malicious act. So I think we first need to identify if someone's doing something and it is a deliberate copy and there is no goodwill in that, that is the entire point of the code of ethics in here that needs to be established. And people need to start calling that out. You don't have to start aligning with people because you're friends. You don't have to start taking sides because you don't like the other person. You may not even know the other person, and you're just making an assumption based off of what you're hearing. So the first thing we need to do is really establish the fact that look at someone's intent and hold them to it, and don't let them walk away because you like them or you think that they're the better person of the other two. So for me personally, I think an idea is an idea. And if somebody makes it better, I joke with Michael Gregory. I called him Mr. Steal Your World because if I say I want to make something, he'll make 5 of them. And that's because he stays busy and grinding. But the intent is never to steal somebody's idea. He actually has goodwill to make amazing worlds. So I just wanted to shout that out. And of course, shout out Paige because I just love everything you do. So
Everything
Well,
she
and I
does.
just love everything you do. You always have a perspective that includes multiple sides, and
You have
that's a
to.
really, really balanced place to be, and it adds so much.
For
Thank
sure.
you.
appreciate
Quick
that.
question too, Oculus. Back to what you said about that. You said it should be a standard that should be incorporated where we call people out on that. How do you think that should go? Because I think, and just to state some of these things that I realized, just like watching social media, how people interact when things, I guess, go bad with business or just things, so the common problems I just kind of narrowed down, or we narrowed down to 4. Okay. The common problems I see are progression. As you can see, we have updates every day. Some people are not
Oh, yeah.
okay with progression. They don't like how things start to look a little bit like VR chat. They don't like how it looks like alt space. So I see progression being an issue. Copying when people think they can do things better. Okay. Another issue is not having a contract when you're doing business. Doesn't make sense. But people do
Absolutely.
it because you're like, oh, that's my friend. I made him meta. No, if money is involved, it's business. And if you know it's going to hurt you if something goes bad, you should always have a contract. Excuse me, sir. Please leave. Thank you. Goodbye. You ruined it. Yeah,
So is the
get out.
question?
So the question.
I apologize.
So these are just
Yeah,
these are
please.
just me saying the common problems. So the common problems were just progression. Some people have a problem with that, copying, no contract, and social media. So how do you think we should incorporate or address those without? Should it be interpersonal? Should we have a forum where we say, okay, this situation happened to explain? What would be a progressive way to say with no conflict and no like trying to push an agenda? Okay. What do you think would be a good way?
All
or
right. So
solution?
in the existing tools, in the existing Horizon worlds, there's a couple of things that everybody has to come to terms with. If I open up my menu, if I go down to that create tab and I click new world, everything that's built in that world is mine. When I publish it, it's my name on it. When you go to these contests and you submit for Pop Jam, Spring Jam, launch your competition, the name on that world is who they're contacting. Your name is who is on that submission. So regardless of who is on there, as long as it's within the rules of the competition, you hit new world, your name's on the world, everything in there is literally yours. Now, there may be some gray area in there. And of course, I'm a reasonable person. Obviously, MetaClean makes some assets. I'm not claiming they're mine. He can take them with him. He built it. Right. But what I'm saying is, you got to come to terms with what the situation we're at now is that when you hit New World, you are the creator. There's no co-creator. There's no sub-creator. There's no creator friend. It is you. That's why when you do these business builds, these businesses want their name on their creation because they want ownership. So they'll import that world at the end of that contract, and it is now theirs. And in your contract, there's a whole nother level. You should contact a lawyer if you're going to have a contract and you're working with somebody. So please just skip to that. But as far as on this personal level, if I build with Metaverse Paige and we're working together, and let's say we have a conflict, I might feel some kind of way about all the time I put in, and I'm going to take everything out of there. And that's up to me if that's a reasonable thing. But to the public, Paige might say, Oculus came in and stole my world. Please help me, anybody. Not saying any of this is real, but the community is going to say what? Oculus is a thief. He went into Paige's world and stole everything.
Yeah, it happens.
And public opinion should not be the deciding factor. Number one, it's a conflict between these two people. If we make it public, y'all should call us out on it. Handle your business. We're all
Right.
adults in here. When y'all suck into the drama, when y'all start posting it, sharing videos, putting all this negativity out there, do y'all not have enough negativity in the real world, out in the physical world? This is where we come to actually be a community. So first, call out the people that are doing it, and make sure that y'all don't give no attention to it other than telling them to handle their business. That's my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good.
I
Yeah.
agree, 100%.
Holding each other
100%.
accountable. Accountability is key. So if you know you did not create that asset, but you still publish that word, and you're gonna say, "Oh, this statue,
support it.
I did it," don't support. And call
And
them
I
out on it and
also-
say, I built
being
that.
others.
Don't be
Mhm.
afraid to do that if you just
Yeah.
want to stay out the way and no drama,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I also want to say that sometimes sometimes there can be known or unknown beef between people, and
Mhm.
sometimes people can create a world about you or even put your
Oh, yeah.
name in it, and that's actually not okay also. That's called cyberbullying, and that's like also
You can report it.
totally not okay.
Yeah.
And so don't allow that to happen to you, and you can also call it out. You don't have to, as Oculus just said, fill feeds with it, but do your due diligence and handle it, with one-on-one communication first. And if
Right.
that
Mhm.
can't resolve it, then you can find a lawyer. There are game design lawyers or IP or copyright lawyers
Mhm.
that also deal with like personal injury, which or some whatever that would fall under slander or cyberbullying or whatever. Yeah. So you don't
If I
have to
may
sit
interject.
quiet. Mm-hmm.
Meta Rupert, you had a woman on your show not too long ago that actually spoke about sorry, I'm drifting, doing business in the metaverse, and she
Right.
gave quite a few helpful tips. So
Yeah, so
I don't
that
know
was
if you did.
Rhonda?
Melissa
Mhm.
Knox from
Melissa.
season 2. So she's a CPA from California,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of talked about ownership, right? Like these things that we
Mhm.
create, right? We understand that they don't belong to us 100% of the time because we are in partnership with Meta. So even the ability to sell these things to other people, like what does ownership truly mean? So she did some research from a legal standpoint, and it basically came down to the point that the time you spend to create is the ownership you have with asset. And I think that's important because, again, if the platform falls, and let's hope that it doesn't, and all this creativity goes away, is the creator still responsible for the time that they spend to make the asset? And I think, yes, I think anytime you use your creativity to enhance somebody else, you should be paid for it. Now, as far as just getting back to, inspiration or stealing, I may approach things again from a different perspective. As a creator, there is no way possible that I can be in a creative space from drawing inspiration from something, whether it's something negative, whether it's something positive, whether it's something I see or feel or have experienced. Those things are always going to come externally. It's really hard to create something extremely brand new from an internal place as a creator. I just don't think it's possible, because our eyes are open when we travel, we see things, and subconsciously we might not even remember what we've seen. We just know that it's been burning in our head for months, sometimes years. The thing I like about Horizon Worlds is that it activated a part of my creativity that I thought I'd lost a while ago. I'm in a unique space where I kind of walk the line between business and creativity, having spent a lot of time in both fields. When I was younger, I earned my living as a creative, photographer, fashion, music, graphic arts, all of the above. As I got older, I sought stability in heading more of a traditional route when it came to earning money, right? But again, now that I've been reactivated creatively wise, I walk that line. Now, listen, if you invite somebody in as an editor into your world and then the next day you see your world under their name, that is clearly theft, right? That's easily understood. But as a creator, if for instance Bubble creates the most amazing wheel as only Bubble can create, as a creator, I feel like I should also have the right to create a wheel, right? It won't be Bubble's wheel, it'll be MetaClean's wheel, and it will look completely different. It'll attract a completely different type of audience based on the way we create. And personally, I think that's okay. If there are 15 worlds of the same thing created by 15 different creators, each one of those worlds would be completely different. But
Yes.
on top of that, it goes deeper than that, because I'm always, and again, I'm a broken record when it comes down to the word community. I think if you take care of your community, I think they're going to gravitate to whatever they feel is best for them at the present time, right? So there could be 50. Well, listen, we can use nightclubs as an example. How many nightclubs are there in this space right now?
So many.
That's
There
so many,
could
right?
be so many,
50
but
just in
they're
my
each
world.
going to be different. Right.
50 just
They're
in my
each
world. I know of.
different. We
Right.
each have a food truck, and they're
Right.
totally awesome
And they're
different.
totally different.
Yep.
Right. So
Right.
if we kind of go on that premise, kind of that inspiration stolen premise, if it gets too extreme, we should say, man, there should only be one nightclub, because I made a nightclub and now you have a nightclub and you stole my idea. Right. So we have to be realistic with what this means to everybody, but we also have to be cognizant of the impact that it creates on this culture in here. I don't think it's I don't think it's a bad idea to have a lot of multiple things if it's intent was your word, right? Intent is a big deal. But if you feel like, hey, I like what I see, but I feel like I can do it for a different community and bring something else to the table, I do think that is okay.
Yeah, let me interject real quick on that, because the thing you brought up about nightclubs, and it wasn't a joke, it was serious. I have 50 nightclub world doors because I wanted to
It's
take them
true.
out of the world tours
This is a
and just have
fact.
This is
nightclubs
true.
to celebrate
Right.
everybody in Horizon.
Right.
There's 50 just that I have access to, so that means there's probably more than double.
Right.
But when I was approached when I first built Club One, people were coming to me saying, "Why are you copying X?" And I'm not going to shout no names. And I was just like, "Are you kidding me right now? You're asking me why I'm copying somebody because I'm making a Club World and there's
Right.
2 others or 3
Right.
others?" So I didn't want to do anything other than just say, "Okay, whatever you want to say. Thanks for your feedback. Have a nice day." But when we were working on a prom and a graduation world for a friend during the beta, Sassy 3K, we were building that prom world, and I realized all of my assets that I was making was my club world that I wanted to build. And I asked,
Right.
I said, you know, who the owner of the world was. I said, "Do you mind if I take these assets for my club world? Because I don't want to just take them. We're working on something together." And she said, "Absolutely, go ahead, by all means, whatever you're doing, you're helping me." And so I made a club world back last April, but I don't flex on it that I made the first club world. I don't care that I made the first anything. My time in here is not a flex. What you do with the time when you get here is the
Exactly.
flex. Do it well,
Absolutely.
do it better, but don't worry about being first no more. Just be better. Do what
Right.
your best is and just share it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm,
Thank you
I'm
guys
gonna
for
just
that.
add something. I just want to add something to that really quickly. So, you know, thinking long term, right? What would this space that we coexist in right now virtually as avatars, what would this space be without the creators enhancing and pushing growth, right? If we limit ourselves based on the things that we've seen to stop doing those, we no longer grow. And when things don't grow, they die, right? I don't want this space to
should be
die. I'm
excited.
invested. I'm invested.
You should be
I-
excited.
As I move through the space, so I spend a lot of time, for those that don't know me, I spend a lot of time talking about community. I spend a lot of time in the community, and I'm dead serious about it. And the reason I am is because people want to be recognized, they want to be seen, right? That's the reason there are so many people with anxiety here thriving, because in their physical worlds, it's hard for them to get seen the way they need to be seen, or they may want to get seen, but the anxiety prevents them from getting seen, right? They can express all that in creativity. I'm not going to slow any of that down based on 2 people creating the same type of world, because your community that you build here beneath you, and it all starts with the community. It's the community is more important than anything in this aspect, because we can make things, and if nobody comes, then we've just made something for ourselves, and that doesn't,
that.
you know, expand the community.
If I could
So
clap.
the community
Betty.
is really about everything. That's why I'm nice to people. Like I don't go to people and intentionally want to cause them harm. And if I
Right.
see that maybe something I'm doing is causing harm, then I'm going to remove myself from the situation or have a conversation. Or, not everybody's for everybody. That's just life.
Right.
But that creative process, I think, shouldn't be it shouldn't be presented in a way where you're limited to your creativity because your feelings are now somebody else's feelings, and that's going to stop you from creating. That's not how art works.
That's not.
Make the art to inspire, and if it inspires somebody to do the same thing, then cherish it. Even if you don't get a thank you, right? I've inspired a lot of people in this place when I go around and see the things. It's not just worlds; it's the way people move. It's posts I see, and I'm almost drawn back. Just like that sounds very similar to what I've done. But you know what? Great! I've inspired somebody to do something for their community, right? My community is always going to be mine. I'm a love on my people. I'm gonna do what I do. But we should all be more focused on taking care of the people that we want to bring joy to. And if we do that and mind our own business, there's a saying in Barbados, it's drink water and mind your business. We need to do a lot more of that in this space.
Yeah, drink water,
Yeah.
mind your business.
Drink water.
What if
Well, I'm glad that you said something, Mr. CJ, because could you speak upon your professional business into here as well too, along with these topics, publishing rights, legal rights? Go ahead, sir.
Basically, when I got into space, like, my family basically is in radio, everything when it comes up to lawyers and social and mayor wise, we look at things like that, with television and stuff, how that goes. Matter of fact, it's how you do things. It's how you run. That's one of the things that I have learned from, like, my family. My uncle D, which he just passed, kind of taught me something big. He was the first black mayor of a little town called Anderson. That's a big. If anybody here is from the South, you already know how that would be crazy for a black mayor to be there, especially in a KKK country. So he taught me a whole lot of things when it comes up there. He's like, always when you have a business or you have something, look at, how you run and how you present yourself, how this person is. And if you're going to be about the community, be about the community. So, like, when I came in, it's been the same thing. But funny instance about that is, like, the club situation. I wanted to build a R&B neo soul club when I came in here, and I was already here. All of a sudden, I'm going through the menu, like how you was going through the menu trying to go find something that you're looking for. I'm going through the menu. I see this R&B club, Cloud. I go there. My boy,
Price in
my
the
boy
building.
Price has this dope club. Like, we're talking about way
Such a vibe. Yeah.
such a vibe. Like, nobody was there. He had this one song played. And I was like, you know what? At first,
we
I
had
was
back
like,
then.
man, this man stole my idea. And I was like, never mind. No. He did not steal my idea. That was his
Right.
idea. He created it. And I saw the way that he did it. And so
Right.
at that time, really, it was only a few people that was doing music. You only had Danica that had music in his club, and you only had Hardy that really had music in their club. And so, I ended up finding out how to do the music for the church, because at the time I was building a church. I fooled around there. I was like, you know what? Instead of being, salacious or want to be like, I'm gonna build this better than you, let me work with the guy.
Right.
Ended up working with Price. Man, he been a brother ever since. It's just like, we got there, we ended up making a script. Me and Biggie ended up turning around, and from there, most of all the places here that got music in it is other been scripted by two people.
Right.
Other than Black Jedi also, so, and June. So it's kind of like, if you take the time out to look at, who creates, and if they already have that idea, sometimes it's best to, help them out in it.
Right.
You go ahead, Akla.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that because that's another thing that does kind of get people feeling like they I don't know. I don't want to say it's anything in relation to what you said, but it's the topic that you spoke about that does generate conflict, and that's saying because you recognize two people or three people that did something, the people that actually had been doing it before that, now they feel something towards you because they either weren't recognized or they had been doing it well before those who were more popular got recognized. So I think we do have to draw back away from Metaclean was the first to do Meta Talk, and let's say he wasn't. Well, because I saw it, now I'm telling Topic that you everybody, and now spoke that's gospel. Meta Talk was first because Rupert put it out there, and it could have been the third one. Because there were people putting music in there well before Hardy came. There were people putting music in before Junior came. And those are the people that stay in the background, just like some of these amazing scripters that y'all probably don't even know their name. And those are the people that are helping build this platform every single day. But when you go out there and you say, shout out to Hardy and Junior, or shout out to Metaclean and you know, anybody else, because they were the first, they were the pioneer, they were the people who created it. All you're doing is alienating all of the people who helped build this platform by shouting out the people that
Thank
you're
you.
aware of. So I just wanted to give you that awareness.
Yes.
Yes.
Speaking of that
Paige
topic-
been here since Paige was the first 25, so maybe she
Yeah.
did it first,
Yeah.
and I'm wrong. So we can't
In
keep
fact,
saying.
I did bring in
See?
music.
See,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
So we with all
I'm
the
even
praise,
The
wrong.
very
Paige was
first
number one.
world that I built,
Yep.
which is like with the snowflakes, I
Thank you for saying that.
brought music in. I used
Right.
my iPhone and I held it right
See?
by my speaker there, and
Right.
doesn't sound as
So
I
good
should've
as
caught,
what.
It's it depends on the quality of music. That's what I should have said. The quality
I
of
would
music.
say
That's
that
what I'm
your
saying. The
quality is
quality
much
of the quality
better
of
than
music
that.
was different because the quality of music that brought most of us that's in here that came in like December or something like that.
Mhm.
The ones that we gravitated to was to Club Vivid
Hmm. Yep.
and Hardy Work.
Yep.
Right.
Now, as far as songs like Wise, like with the scripts, Lex and them did the script for the playlist script where you would have 30 seconds of a song and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Now, the difference with the scripts are that certain people did certain scripts. Like for instance, Austin the Wise came in.
Right.
Austin the Wise figured out how to do the shuffle script. It's kind of like he
Check your
most of
notifications.
that shuffleness of it.
Mhm.
It's kind of different. So what happens is
Yeah.
it's not that I don't forget who brought in music. It's kind of like this.
Mhm.
It depends. Like for instance, the playlist. The playlist goes like over and over, like a long playlist that deals like with an hour worth of music, like
Mhm,
with other
mhm.
songs, not using other songs. Once again,
Well,
it goes
that's a
over.
wonderful,
that's a
wonderful
wonderful
bonus
thing.
and addition, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad you and your friends and group have brought that into Horizon. See, each person brings so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
and I love that. One thing I even ask people to consider is how, when you're building, can you create opportunities for new voices in your world?
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
How can you give up ownership? Oh, I just saw
Right.
Shay give up some confetti. Shay Arts
Right.
is one of the artists at Better World Museum, and what that is a template museum, a white wall template museum. And the idea is that the creator deconstructs the world to build a better world, right? Build a better world by deconstructing the museum, right? So whatever it is for you, like if you have a world full of music, what ways can you use those tools to amplify
Right.
more voices in your
Absolutely.
community?
Absolutely. You know, Paige,
Yeah.
I move through this space with the moniker, right? So every Instagram post, I either lead it or end it with create, love, inspire, and add value. So I think I truly seek every opportunity to add value into every person that I touch. And that doesn't always mean being in front of
Yeah.
the camera, right? If somebody just
Mhm.
needs
Right.
a word of encouragement to keep them going, right? Because there are people here who have suffered based on the way they've been treated in here, and have seriously thought
yes.
about leaving the platform. Like some of the top creators have thought about leaving. Now, imagine if
Even
those
some
people
of us
left,
on this panel.
right?
Right.
Every
Yep.
one of us, I think, has questioned: do we want to be here based on some of the things we go through, right? So if we can add value, and again, whoever was first, last, I don't think that's really necessary. I think
Right.
you had a community where you created music that people enjoyed, right?
No.
Maybe that message
Art,
didn't translate.
But
All right,
CJ.
excuse me. All right, but that message may not have translated to the community that CJ was traveling to. Through nobody's fault. This is a big space. We do a lot of different things, right? But he found a community now where he could share the ability to share art. He could have taken that really sideways and been mad at Price forever. And then what would that have done to the space?
Oh, we're being
right?
so
Right.
divisionary.
Price would have been, he would have been playing
and
that same one song to
nasty.
this day. To this day,
Right.
everybody's
That
dancing to
same
that.
one
Yeah, one
Right.
song, one note. And you know who you are out there if
Right.
you create division in Horizon,
We
right?
do. And we know,
So
but
true.
we know who
Right.
you are
We
also
know who you
because
are.
we see these things happen, especially those of
Right.
us that spend a lot of time talking to people.
Yeah.
We usually know the true story about what happened. Again, no one ever really knows the true story unless you were in the room. But
Yeah.
you hear things and you understand things and you see how people move, and sometimes it's repetitive,
right.
and it always seems to
That's a
follow the
fact.
same people in every situation. So
Yes.
Denominators. So Horizon
Yeah.
World is like amazing place. I feel like we all just want to be able to bring our families here one day. This will expand eventually where
Yeah.
who knows, Expansion is the goal, and I just feel like I know when I came in back in December, my thing was like I just wanted to build my own community. Feel free to be myself, no judgment. You have my no legs, just the top body. You know what I'm saying? Just there's no judgment, and I can feel free to be myself without, just judgment. And then also just wanting to feel safe. So I really appreciate you
Yes.
guys sharing your points. And I just have another question.
sure.
This is the last question, you guys. I just lost it. Okay. So the last question, because we mentioned assets. Okay. So let's say once an asset is created within Horizon Worlds and you give or sell that asset to either another creator or a person, okay, does your, let's say, ownership transfer over to the buyer or the gift? And does that mean they are free to customize even without knowing what their intent would be and not mentioned? Akilos first.
Oh yeah, I want to share first of all. I love to share the current state because people have presumptions about what their rights are, what their obligations that they uphold when they create something. So current state, if you know the asset library, there are no names on any of those creations. There's no log to show how it was changed after it was pulled out of the asset library. So if you go into somebody's world and you create an asset, let's say I take your whole stage and I put it in my world, you can be mad at me, but you can't do anything about it. That's the unfortunate reality right now. So if you're creating assets, make sure that you trust whoever's an editor on your world, because they can import your whole world and make assets out of everything much easier than it takes to go into your world and then start creating assets. So that's number one. Number two, if I buy an asset from somebody, perfect example, Sadie Chan, I bought a Metapop. I love that thing. I love every shape in that Metapop.
Metapop.
I have no problem, even
Team
though it was
Metapop.
never discussed.
Metapop.
And not picking on you, Sadie Chan, at all, but it wasn't discussed what she gets to do with that Metapop after she gave me a copy of it. But as a person, I would love for her to share that Metapop because she created it. That's her creation. But as a business transaction in the future, she should have some kind of contract that says she gets to retain a copy, use it for promotion, for advertising, for marketing, and then I have a right to mine to do the same and remix it any way that I choose. So again, not picking on you, but this is one of the things that you have to consider when money exchanges hands. There are a lot of feelings and emotions that come with it when you have something where you feel it wasn't the same expectation, but no one can help you and you have no rights to whatever that discussion was because you didn't get it in writing. So please be cautious out there when you're creating things and giving them away, selling them, or having editors on your worlds, because no one is able to protect you until they get revision history and ownership on assets.
Wow.
Can I
Thank
answer
you.
next before
Thank
you
you for that.
before
Please do.
because I want the creators to have the last word on this. I mean, I create, but I'm not necessarily known for building. As I choose not to build, I choose to do other things. But we'll just use Sadie. Can I use you in this example? So I also have a Metapop. It is dope as hell. I want everybody to see
Yeah.
it eventually.
Everybody get a minute.
I want one.
I mean one right
It's
now.
amazing. They're amazing.
Go get a
But
minute. Pop.
Meta even shouted out
Get
the
a
Meta
Metapop.
Pop, so
Get a Metapop.
shout out
Yeah.
Sadie Chan.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Shady
Right.
Chan.
Shady Chan.
Follow her.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shady
And-
Shady
Yes.
Chan.
and
VR.
now, Sadie, we're only going to charge you each 1% each for promoting you today. So that's it.
I want 2%.
See, look at that. Look at that.
But I think that again, right? I think Oscar's kind of said it best. Like in my physical world, I deal with a lot of
Who
the
the hell's Oscar?
sentiment behind an action as I work for a corporation, right? We do very traditional things, but the thing that separates us sometimes is the sentiment behind the action, right? The action is always simple, right? The reason why people do it is not always as simple, or how to get people to do things isn't as simple. I think as a creator, though, I think it is my decision if I sell an asset to decide how that asset should be used once it's sold. It is also
Yes.
the decision of the buyer to decide if they want to follow my decisions about how that asset should be used. But as a business owner creative, I feel that creativity shouldn't be hoarded. It should be given away. So if you're very, very invested in an asset that you make, it might be in your best interest not to give it away just to share it, right? Because if you see it 30 times without your permission, you're going to feel some kind of way. I create a little differently, and I think that the trend now is for creators to create a little differently, where they can now just create and let it go, right? Just let it fly. But even if
Yeah. I told
I'm
you
here.
guys gonna pick
Oh,
me.
we all got phones.
oh, did we all spawn out?
Did everybody get kicked? Oh, the whole
Oh, it
room.
wasn't just me. Okay.
The whole room got kicked.
Yep, sure did.
The whole room got
the
debuted.
whole room got kicked out.
I literally went to Super Stream and I was like, oh my God, nobody's here.
Every
Y'all got kicked out?
yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
Everyone.
All right. I don't
Everything
feel
but
bad.
you.
Hey, you've all been saying such important nuggets of.
Oh, where are
of
you? I can hear
wisdom.
you.
Did y'all get kicked?
I want to be on this side. I'm recording too because I see something
Oh.
happen with the YouTube channel. Thank you all for coming back. Y'all real.
No, I think
MVPs,
it's
man.
necessary though, Paige. I think sometimes people just need a little bit of guidance sometimes. Because this place kind of is the wild wild west sometimes. There's really not a whole lot of regulation on
is.
how to act or how to conduct business. You kind of have to figure it out, and just not everybody has been in that situation where they've had to figure things out like that. So I don't think
Yes.
most of it is malicious. I think some of it is just misunderstandings and communication.
I
and we don't
agree.
always focus on that. So
And not
I
everybody
think-
knows or stops
Right.
to think about
Right.
the implications.
right,
And other
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Right.
and other
Yeah.
people, and other people.
Right.
Yeah. We'll be
So,
right
so
back.
Meta
Exactly.
heard we
Exactly.
were talking about assets and giving things away, and they cut the stream. So
And they cut the stream. Yeah.
Right.
Somebody did not want to hear that message. That's for
It's
sure.
this chair.
Which one
Too
of
many
y'all pulled the
secrets
plug?
being
huh?
given.
Which one of y'all
Too
pulled the
many
plug?
stickers, man.
how you gonna pull to remove
I'll
the whole
bring it
room?
back.
Super stream.
Yeah, I know.
It's not letting me-
Seriously.
There we go. I don't know how I couldn't get back.
It got me.
Back in here.
I can't pull them back in. Who else? How many people?
I'd
we got in
like
here?
to
We got-
Bubble.
share when the
We still waiting
video
for
is
Bubble.
working.
It's up.
I think Super
Where's the
Super
sun?
got it.
Super, are you?
I think
Yep,
that
Super got it.
there's.
What's the bad boy
Your
doing?
most. That's what's hope.
Is the bad boy a special
my
guest?
dad.
Oh no.
Oh. Hey, son.
Hey, Dad.
Hey,
Oh.
Betty.
The reason why we
Don't catch
do
a
what we do.
seat out in
That
the
was beautiful.
audience. We
That's
want to
so
see
great.
you from up on stage.
I'm shedding a tear.
Go down, son. You gotta go down to the audience, son.
Yeah, we want to see you.
Actually, you know what? Before
right
you go,
over
bad boy,
there.
tell us a secret about your daddy that we don't know.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I've never
no.
seen.
No, don't
No,
do
no,
that.
no.
Ooh.
No,
What was that about?
That's his
that's not.
Oh, boy, he got your back. Oh, that's what's
Man.
Y'all heard that?
Yeah.
That's my
Do
son.
not give that kid up. Do not give him up for
Wow.
adoption. He has your
Man,
back.
that's a husband. Right.
That's my son. Y'all heard that?
Can you do me a favor, CJ?
Soup, you saw
Go
that,
on that.
right? That's
You
my
already
son.
know.
That's my son.
Go on that side. Go on that
Alright.
side. I'm gonna record from this one.
He said that's his
Feel like we
business.
can.
Wow,
That's
I'd have never
what I
said
said.
that. I'd have put all
In
your
fact,
business
Can
out.
everybody hear
That's
us?
what
Can
I
everybody
want.
hear us?
I'd love to
All right,
hear
everybody
what
hear
it's
us.
like.
All right, good.
I'm
good,
a
good, good.
reporter
Thank
here.
you guys for coming back. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right.
Thank
In
you.
fact, I'd
All
like
right.
to go over
Thank you.
5 thing properties that make a safer metaverse.
Okay.
Did everybody get kicked,
that
or was
okay?
that just me?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
did.
No, everybody.
Yeah, everyone did.
Everyone did.
got kicked.
Okay,
Everyone
that's
kicked.
fine.
Can I just finish
No
my
one
point
kicked
real
me.
quick?
Back to what you. Yeah, I'm
Um,
right here recording
please.
too.
Yeah. So Sage and I just had a conversation about the usage of an asset that I purchased for her, because I'd like to use the asset for something other than what its original intent was, but because there was no foreground, this is exactly what Oculus is talking about. There wasn't an understanding from the very beginning on how the asset was used, and that's okay, right? But because of that, I wanted to make sure that it was okay with the creator before I just went ahead and used it, right? I created an asset called the Boombox, and the Boombox was a music asset, but I wanted to make sure with the person that imported the music to that asset, I built the asset, it got imported by somebody else. I needed to make sure before I gave that asset away that it'll be okay to do so. But every time I do, and somebody needs music, I shout out that creator, hey, if you need music to do the same thing, this is where you go, right? That's how we pay homage to the creators giving back.
Exactly.
But I don't think we have the right when we buy. And this is the analogy that I use,
Floating right in front
and
of
this is why I tell creators not to hold on too tightly to their assets. So everybody knows Macy's, right? There's Macy's all across the country. If you go to Macy's and buy a suit, and they tell you you can only wear this suit on Tuesdays and Thursdays, what would you tell Macy's?
Catch you on Wednesday.
Yeah,
See you on Friday.
keep your suit.
Saturday, so
I'm gonna go
Going to
right.
Target.
So
check me out.
So
Right.
exactly. So I think creators,
Hey, can you do me
when,
a favor?
when
Have a
we
seat in
put
the
too many
crowd?
stipulations on our creativity, it's going to limit your growth in this space, right? You're a creator. Just create more stuff. Like if it's that important to you, then don't release it to the community. Put it in a place where they have to come and see you. But I think as
Yeah.
creators, in order to grow, you have to create and give, and just repeat the process. And that's how you kind of gain your following, right? The people that are really successful in here, creatively wise, give away a lot. They do. Just watch them how they move. Price, Sadie,
And freely. at that.
M5,
Really
Capricorn,
freely.
Bubble, right, Oculus. They give freely,
No, I don't make,
right?
I don't make
Because
assets. Oh,
but you give freely. Your
Yeah, I give
time,
freely.
Yeah.
your time is your asset,
all my
right?
damn time.
There's
And
not-
your,
it's
and,
an
your,
asset.
and your Oculus Pop. I want one of those, by the
You
way.
got it.
gotta get
Sadie,
one.
can I have his
When you're
Oculus
done.
Pop? Can I get a
Sadie,
copy?
Can we get it?
Sadie.
Shit. Say
Oh,
this comes
yes.
to
I want to follow up on one thing Medically
All right.
just said about not holding on to your creativity, because there is a second half to that. So if you were an asset creator before the beta opened up, asset creators would make worlds that you had to import the whole thing. Obviously, Vidu is like one of the pioneers of that. You know, there's like thousands
Right.
of people that were editors on 5 different copies.
Yeah.
And when you share it with everybody, like Lakes does, he doesn't care how you remix it. He's just happy he can help people. But there are some asset creators, they put a lot of care into their creation. So when they give it away, some of them have actually like terms of use. And let's say this chair is in that asset bundle, and we say, all right, you can have my chairs. You can change the color, but do not remix it because it's got my name on it, and you got to
Right.
leave my logo on it.
Right.
So if I take the logo off, I redesign it, and I don't put his logo anywhere in my world. Obviously, first of all, I'm trash for not, honoring that word. But secondly, if somebody comes in here and says, that looks like so-and-so's chair, but that's garbage now. What happened to it? And then somebody says, oh, that's so-and-so's chair. Okay, well then now I'm telling everybody that's so and so's chair because that's the word
Right.
that I heard.
But
So
that's
there
also-
are terms of use to things that you create. You don't want to make somebody mess it up, and then that's how they're displaying your artwork.
Right.
So there's two sides of it. Again,
Absolutely.
yes, please don't hold your creativity back,
Yeah.
but also if you feel pride in what you made, make sure you communicate. Please
Absolutely.
don't alter it. Otherwise, take my name off of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And understanding
would
what a
like-
gift is, when you give someone, you're transferring over that ownership as well
Right.
too, to that person, and they are
Right.
now can do whatever they
Yeah.
want to as well too, as
Sure.
long as there's a conversation in the beginning of it. Los,
Oh,
did
I
you
got to
have something
reply to the
say?
gift part. I got to reply
Go
to the
ahead.
gift
Note
part
that.
because
Yes.
I'm
Go
gonna put my
ahead.
business out there. I used to pay
Mhm.
child support. Anything that is not in
Okay.
writing
Right,
is a
correct.
gift.
It's a
Anything
gift.
that is not in writing
is
But
a
is a
gift.
gift.
Is a gift. Is a gift.
Right.
Is a gift.
I gave
Is
you a
gift.
car. I gave you a
Where's the
house. It don't matter. It is a
a
gift.
Legally,
It
it's a
don't matter.
gift.
Right.
Yes.
So let's
Yes.
say moving
Anything-
forward, anytime you give something, I feel like everybody should have like, I don't care if it's a text message, if it's a little message in a DM saying I gave this asset and here's my terms. That would be something so simple. It's not invasive. It's no drama. This is what
Right.
I said. This is my statement, and my word is my bond, because
Oh, that-
that's even a
that
legal
happens now.
document. Yeah,
And
it
it's messy.
should, but a lot of people do a lot of. Well, yeah. All right. So what do we?
So I'm
Like,
gonna just speak a little
ahead.
bit like on like what I'm seeing
Yeah.
from the community, and like I've had this conversation with members in the community, so I can speak from not only like my personal view, but from a community view. I don't think the problem with assets is like giving it away or anything like that. I think the problem just goes back to the manipulation and kind of like the distrust that is within the community.
Intent.
So I think a
page left.
great thing to do would be to give creators the option to lock an asset and maybe another option to unlock at if they pay a specific price. That's something that I would be comfortable with.
Sounds good.
Personally, coming to this app, I use this app as a social way to gain trust. So I think that would be a perfect way to gain trust within the community. Hey, I want to share this asset with you. Here it is locked. If you would like it unlocked to remix it, pay this fee or, do this or sign this. So that way you're giving people two options so it doesn't feel like they're trapped in a box. And, for a little bit more, you can remix it and you can take ownership of it. So I think giving the community more than one option is a fantastic way to have your cake and eat it too.
I think that's.
Oh, I'm excited to
incredible.
reply to this real quick, and I'm so
That's
sorry if I cut
nice.
anybody off. User voice. It's in user voice 5 different ways.
Yeah.
Revision history, locking assets, marketplace, sharing assets. All of those are in user voice right now. Go vote on them. Go comment because if
Yeah.
you notice, there were 30 plus feature requests closed out in the last 6 months. So y'all's voices are being heard. Y'all's requests are being fulfilled. So please go to user voice. It's horizonworlds.uservoice.com. There's 5 different things about assets in there right now. Go vote on them. Go put your comments, put your opinions. Make sure you upload them. Please use user voice, y'all. I've been pushing this
Can you
since
say that
February,
one more time?
and things
Los?
are actually
say
changing.
that access. How did it
Yeah.
access it one more time?
horizonworlds.uservoice.com, and literally just type anything. Type the word asset in the search bar. It'll bring up every feature and bug with the status if it's completed or not, and go vote on the ones that are open. I'm telling you, they're out there. All you gotta do is keep voting, share it, and then we can make some more change happen.
Oculus 410,
we're talking
everybody.
about a lot about-
Oculus
I'm sorry,
410. Can we get some
Robert.
confetti for
Yes.
that? Seriously.
Yes.
Let's,
Yes.
let's, let's
Oh,
get
that was for
Oculus
me.
as
My
well,
bad.
Go
man,
ahead
'cause-
and
I didn't mean to
turn
give
it over
myself
to the
confetti.
community.
Yeah.
Caught me
Community and for
Yes.
questions. Does anybody in the audience have any questions?
Oh, I
Glitching,
can't.
yeah. So we're pretty much in conclusion. So anybody have a question in the community if you like to
I
come
think Harab
please
has
to
his
the-
hand up.
Who
We're going to
does?
share the
Har-
stage
Harab?
with Super.
Go.
Share the circle with Super. The Super Circle.
Share the circle
Yeah,
with
I
Super.
think if you,
Super.
Harab, I
Share
saw
the
your
circle
hand. I
with
think
This
if
is
you
now
stand
open for the
there,
community. If you like to, ask a question, come over.
He's has.
Who do I have? Who's
Harab.
over?
He's stretching.
right.
He ain't got a
Parable
question.
Yeah.
one sec.
Come over. Come on.
Oh,
Come on over.
I'll come in.
you might
Trying
be
to figure
shy.
out
Yeah,
what
give
the
him the mic.
acronym means. Harobisec. Oh my goodness.
Release.
There we go.
You got it.
There we go.
All right, where should I stand?
Welcome, Harab. Any way you
fine.
want.
You fine.
All right, my name is
I'm sorry.
Harib.
Harib, sorry.
Uh,
Sorry.
Yay.
They call me Mr. Olsak. My question was: are you guys gonna have a question panel at the end of this, or where would we line up for that?
Right now. You're the
Right
first.
where you at? Doing right what you
Where
doing.
you're at is the
Okay.
yeah,
All
you're
right.
the
Well.
one.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
All right. If you have questions,
Right.
line up for questions.
Okay. So
That was the question.
Please come here if you like questions.
I think it was an
Should they stand right
opportunity
in
to
front
share
of
his
you?
name.
Hey, Super,
Right
you
here.
gonna have to move. Super.
Yep.
Right
While we
there.
waiting
In
on
that
questions,
circle.
I just wanted to share
Everyone
one thing
wants
with
to-
everybody
Everyone
while we're waiting
wants
for
to
everybody
be
to step
heard
up.
and
Yeah.
We
yeah,
Oculus.
everyone wants to be heard and have a sense of belonging, right?
For sure.
So when you see people who are in need of that, you can give them that opportunity. That might look like
Yeah,
a
for
leadership role. It could look like
Right.
having a door in a world. It could look like collaborating and,
Or asking
and
a question
working
about
together.
a question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the thing that I wanted to say real quick before people lined up for questions is just that I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but it's as simple as if you create something or if you go somewhere and you want to show some support, take pictures, post it on social media, and tag Horizon Worlds. It's literally as simple as that, and they read that. I don't know why it doesn't like connect, but Meta sees everything that's on Facebook and Instagram. I'm gonna let y'all guess why. But they're watching, they're reading all this content. Like seriously.
Right.
So
Yes,
if
yeah,
you need a
exactly.
code of ethics, yeah, if you need a code of ethics and you're trying to figure out what that means, what would you not say in front of Meta, who's giving out opportunities daily, that would prevent you from getting those opportunities? That's your code of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
okay
our-
to say no sometimes, right?
No.
Don't be afraid to say no to something that goes against your scope of who you are and your ethical parameters.
No.
Yeah.
Right. No. Right. And it's okay to you can say no. Even to
say
the
no.
largest
He will say
companies
no
in
to
the world. Right?
It's
That
true.
you can say
Right.
no if something doesn't feel right for you.
Right.
Or if it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
masked bullying
Your best
or
interest.
comes from a ethical place that you don't stand behind, or if there's a lack of inclusion, or if there's a lack of empathy. It's okay to say no.
I love that.
Right.
Now, we spoke about a lot of topics. We spoke about the music, the origins of the music, the coding of the music, the quality of the music, stealing worlds, assets, the different terms. Has anyone have any questions in regards to that? VJ?
I think Mr. Franz.
Or an example
Frank-
or advice if we're open.
Correct.
Please grab the
Advice,
mic if you want to
statements.
speak, please, right in front of Super. I know he looks a little odd, but just don't be afraid.
In the real world, I am a sound guy, so I'll just tell everyone: never drop a
Oh, just switch
microphone.
hands.
Never
Oh,
ever.
Franz.
Switch hands on the mic. There you go.
Hello?
No.
Oh,
Oh, all right.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Doesn't work for
You got it.
lefties, eh?
He got it.
no, don't be like that. Come to the front, babe. Come to the front,
In a
Mr.
circle, in a
VJ.
circle.
No.
VJ,
no,
come,
no.
come on to the front. We need you on.
You
Stand right here on the
this
circle.
one
Go ahead,
because
get
it
the-
makes a
right
loud
there.
bang.
There you go, brother.
You got
I
it.
just wanted to reiterate again what Oculos had said about the user voice forum, and it's not totally obvious. And there's a numerical vote thing on each suggestion, and I've written a bunch of suggestions there myself, actually, about including one about NFT assets, which I would like to do
Yep.
because I'm an artist and stuff. But
Mm,
yeah, make sure you
We need that.
click the little up arrow on that thing, because different suggestions have a different amount of votes, and obviously they're going to pay attention to those that have a high number of people seeming to care about that thing, and include a comment also, just
Yes.
your take on that particular issue. And like when somebody says, we could use more features about this and that, and you say, oh, well, this specific feature would really help me in my life, and maybe have that. So anyway, okay,
Thank you.
I'll hand it
Thank
off to
you.
the next
Thanks,
lucky
Frank.
contestant.
And if you
I will cash
haven't
app you
already,
for promoting-
Franz does a lot of
promoting
work
User
with
Voice.
neurodivergency. So if you haven't added him or seen his artwork, please go view that. He's an
Yeah,
amazing
amazing.
artist.
Everyone
VMB,
go
that
add VJ.
Thank
amazing
you.
artist. You guys should
Neurodiversity
connect.
Center 7.
Hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
And,
We'll talk
and
about that
artist
again.
in resident at
We'll have
Better
you
World
back.
Museum.
We'll
Check
need
out
you
his
for a
work.
business panel, so please stay close. Yeah. Anyone else have a question out there? Any advice, if you will, that you might need
Comment,
dealing with the
statement?
meta situationship?
We know we have
Concerns?
I mean,
strong
business.
voices
I'd almost
here.
be curious. I'd almost be curious if anybody out there feels like maybe they've been in a situation where they didn't know how to either protect themselves or they feel their work was stolen and how they resolved it, if at all. 'Cause I mean, I'm pretty sure at least somebody out there
Kim,
experienced it.
Tetris,
Tetris?
Kim, come on up.
Matrix, go ahead. In the circle, please. In the circle. In the blue circle.
In front of the man, cross
blue circle.
arms. He's the X marks the spot.
Yep.
There you go.
Right there.
We're so
You
trying to
gotta-
help.
We can't hear you, Kim.
We can't hear
In
you.
the-
blue.
The
You have to
blue
go to the
circle.
blue
There.
Into the circle of
I love your
power.
purple.
You gotta
Right
hit the
there.
blue circle right there.
Hey.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Community.
Yes, community, helping community. Woo. Get all the way in, though. He's not all the way in. He's not all the
Now
way
you,
in.
now you have to get out of the
You
party.
gotta
that
step
you're in,
over.
Petrus.
You gotta step
In
over
the party
circle.
chat.
Get out,
In the
get out the
party
party you're in. There you go.
That too.
Yeah. There we go.
Sorry, technical
Hey!
difficulties over here. Clearly.
Clearly.
Thank you, panelists, and thank you, guests. Lord, how do we deal with people that try to be meta police themselves and decide to record other people's private conversations? How do you deal with that in your own instance or world? Because I don't think it's right for someone to be the only meta police. Yeah, I'd rather leave that to the training and safety specialists. So what does the panel think about that? And posting on social media. Thank you.
Well, I can answer that. For one, I think if you're having a private conversation in a public forum that doesn't belong to you, then whatever somebody hears, right? Again, I don't agree with recording people without their intent, but if the conversation is really that private, there are tools that we can have in place, right? You were just in a party chat where we couldn't hear you speaking, right? But we should also move through the space, I think, sometimes as if we were being recorded all the time. And that
'Cause
will
we are.
make you act, you will, right, exactly. We
Yeah,
are
we
being
are.
recorded, right? But that will make you act differently because the things that you might say, you might not say now because of that.
But why should we be repressed? Because
Repressed?
we feel that like certain individuals are in our like instance, and we know that they're recording like 24/7. Why should we feel like we should be repressed and hold back our true feelings on certain issues?
No, but I mean, I think if you're okay with that, then it shouldn't matter if you're being recorded, right? Because then now people will maybe get to know who you are, right? The reason I think
Well-
some people are, but go ahead. Let me let you finish. Go ahead.
Because people can easily go in and edit what they want and change the narrative of the whole thing, and then you're just perceived as that thing, you know, on
Right.
Instagram, Twitter, whatever. So it doesn't make it right to go into a world knowing you're going to record people and then go into their, you know, private conversation, and then, you know, if you engage in something that's, you know, with them, that's different. But don't. I'm just wondering, like, how you all in your world deal with those type of people that decide to come in guns a-blazing with like recording
Yeah.
Like
and don't record the content that's supposed to be that's supposed to be matter of fact, where
Yeah.
they record the whole instance.
So
I think Bubblegum has
that's-
to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
always been a
got that?
fear. And that's kind of the digital age, unfortunately, that we live in, where people can chop up things that we say. And we've seen this happen on TV, you know, live TV, talk shows, reality TV, time and time again. And it's one of those unfortunate things that happen. But when that does happen to us, and it you know, this is the age that we live in, the only thing I could do to tell you the best advice is to move forward with your head high.
Correct.
explain the situation, and then just go about
So-
living with positivity and just kind of do the
Right.
best you can, because the truth will always come out in the end,
But
regardless
at the end
of
of
what
the
we
day,
do.
so do you feel that there's any liability to the individual that's doing this? Because if someone, let's say,
It's
I'll
only,
have to-
it's
Yeah.
only,
Hold on, hold
it's
on.
only,
It-
When you
no,
say,
no,
wait,
because-
wait,
wait,
wait, wait,
it's
wait.
only,
I just want to
Whoa,
finish
when it comes
because
up to,
let him finish.
Because
Let
no
him
one here-
finish. Let him finish. CJ.
because there are people in this, let's say
What is
there's
that?
people in Horizons that think that they are meta police,
Yeah.
but
Right.
yet they don't work for Horizon, so
Yeah.
they're not covered, right? So if someone was
Right.
to, let's say, they're in a vulnerable place and they're having a private conversation, someone comes blazing in, and then they do something to themselves to harm themselves, it's because of that person. They don't the
Yeah.
people need to understand that they're
Yeah.
not going to be protected by meta,
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. I want to hear a little bit more from the panel,
So
about that,
I
because
do
it's not
have
just
to
about
agree
holding
with-
back. It's about legal as well.
So
Okay.
what I'm hearing you say is you like there should be ramifications for this, and I understand what you're saying, but because if it happened in a public place,
yeah.
Right.
there might
This
not
isn't
be-
public though. This isn't like the street.
It is
that-
public, so it depends. It depends on the place that you are.
Yeah.
For instance,
So this is a
Right.
for
so this-
instance,
Hold on.
hold up
ahead,
for
go
a
ahead.
second. For instance, if I put on this place when they come in, no recording. I said no recording for these purposes. Like Miss B that was in here earlier. She specifically puts in her world where no one is supposed to record because they didn't want that. That is a safe place for you to go to. Most worlds we don't have that where we can put that into the worlds. Now, if you're a builder, if the builder is looking for that type of way, they'll put that in their world. For instance, they'll be like right outside and it'll be big letters, because if it's not in big letters, sometimes the lawyers could chew through that, because it's not seen. It says it's not seen. But
Well-
if it's seen, saying that that you say, hey, I don't want anyone recording, and they record that instance, then that is a legal matter, because now
Yep.
it's kind of like it's different. But you always got to remember that this is digital, and this is a newer space.
Correct.
So with this
And
being a
so-
newer space, you don't have that leeway. You know what I mean?
There
That leeway
is
unless you have
also
that.
there is also with at least my workplace has legal plans, right? So of course I have access to counsel, whatever, and they read the terms of service a little bit differently than maybe an individual would read it, right? So and law is interpreted, that's why we people go to court and whatever for stuff. But in interpreting some of the stuff that was in the terms of service, conduct, VR, all that stuff, going into safety, legal, it's arguably, it's arguable. You can argue that, like even if it's in fine print in the world, that someone shouldn't do that. And then
Well,
post it,
Kim,
right?
let me ask
Because-
you, because I think it matters less what we think. What would you like to see happen in regards to that?
I think people should just mind their business and just not record the whole instance. I mean, if you're gonna, post on Instagram or Facebook, at least ask or say you're intently recording for this purpose. I mean, everyone has the right to record their whole Oculus device, but like you all said before us, that there's a person behind, and you don't know their background. Is that correct? That I heard
Yeah,
earlier in this panel that there's a human behind every. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you know how?
That's
so
right.
do you know? Right. So people's feelings can get hurt when you post or send stuff to other people, content that is not supposed to be spread and was a private conversation.
Right.
Now if it's about something that's between that person, again, you're not Horizon, you're not employed by them, you're not paid by them to police. Your only due diligence is to just report the person and have a trained safety specialist handle the matter at hand. Because at the end of the day, if anything happens, that person, just like we see in schools where people bully each other and someone commits suicide or dies, you're going to be responsible, and they will find your IP address. You know, if that's the case. That's just what I am trying to make a claim at. So there's some liability on the person that is, you know, like.
I agree.
I just
And then
think that's the
also it goes into
liability.
that crosses the line to that cyberbullying, because if someone is recording you and they have that malice intent and
intent.
it hurts someone's feelings, that treads into into that guidelines of cyberbullying.
right.
No
So
matter
you
where
can
it's coming
tread
from.
that
That is
Correct.
a criminal act.
Correct.
That is
And
a
it's
criminal
not
act.
just,
and that
you know,
is
like,
in the terms of
right.
service, into the legalities, into what my co-host
100%.
Tress has just spoke about.
Yeah,
that
and
is
like,
actually
you know,
in there.
Triss, it's, you know, it's one of those things like, you know, you can't just go into a world guns ablazing and record the whole scene and you know, roll up on somebody and, you know, and then they pop off, right? Because they're going through a personal issue. You know, you only gotta report. You know, I don't even think you should post a period. I think you should just report it. You know, you're not a Horizons official. You're not TMZ of Horizons. So that's just what that's just what I'm
Unless
saying.
you are
And there's
TMZ,
liability
right.
in. And there's liability in
the
just
best
cause to it.
practice. The best
But-
practice,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
always is
Yes.
to announce
So-
that you're recording to the people around
And
you.
that, thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Right.
you, Paige, and that's exactly what, you know, I hope that people take from this is, you know, it's just, sorry, I have someone talking in my ear. I have God in my ear right now.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing. Girl, if you don't stop talking, please. I'm
Kim, thank you for your.
I'm being recorded.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
I
Thank
hope
you.
no one ever violates your privacy or makes you feel unsafe. But remember, it can happen, and it does happen often. Just
Jesus.
remember that
The
you're
drill
not to
got me.
blame for it, and whether or not people call you a snowflake or something, that only feeds that kind of abuse. And even if you freeze or do nothing, or not report it, it's okay, because you did the best you could do in that moment, and we support you, right? So
Okay.
yes.
Go ahead, Los. Did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to say again, user voice. There are a number of things in there regarding recording, whether it's a way to identify your recording, whether there's things that prevent you from recording. There's tons of stuff in user voice, and if it's not in there the way you like it, create it, because Horizon and Meta need to hear what your concerns are, and other people may have similar concerns and are afraid to speak up. I understand
Absolutely, yep.
everybody's perspective of here. You know, they have rights. They should have a right to record. People should be respectful and announce the recording. But the reality is the problem are not the people that are doing these things. The problem are the people with that malicious intent. And we deserve the same privacy and respect as they would expect in return. So report them. Make sure you use user voice. But in any instance, if someone is entering your space with the sole intent of recording whatever's going on to use it in a malicious way, even if this is a digital space, even if our avatars, we have limited, I guess, ownership of our avatar, there's still rights that protect you from any kind of discrimination, bullying, and the conduct in VR. So please, when someone does that to you, report it. Report it. And if you report it on your wrist and it doesn't come back as violating conduct in VR, make sure that you're also documenting who did it. Start recording yourself and make sure that you protect yourself as much as possible. And it's unfortunate that you have to go to such lengths, but it's easier to prove someone is guilty than it is to prove somebody's innocent sometimes. So you have to just make that effort to protect yourself. It's unfortunate. I literally am empathetic to exactly what you're saying because I've been through it. I know how it feels. I don't know to the extent of so many people that go through so much worse. So I'm on board with protecting your rights just as well as the rights of the person who's recording. So just go back to that code of ethics. Just stop being a trash person and call out the people who are being trash and start separating them out of your groups.
Right.
Yeah,
and I'm
you
just
gotta
going to
call 'em
say,
out.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
going to just
Go
say
one
on
more.
another note as well too. Before we close it out, I did want to speak upon or echo what he was saying or add on to that. And I'm just gonna put this out there. So I've known Los for a long time, so I mentioned something to him on a DM. He was like, "Well, did you record it?" I was like, "No." I was like, "My word's not good." I was like, He's like, "No, you have to record it." I was like, "All right, cool." So yes, please record whatever you feel is necessary to record if you feel it's wrong unjustly. But before we close it out, I would like to ask our last panelist for any last words, starting with Meta Rupert.
Oh,
What?
yes. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought someone else
Sorry.
had something else. Anybody else have something to say before you start? Anybody else have
Oh.
anything else they want to touch on, or any other questions in the audience? We're over at 9, but I just want to know if any other questions were still there. No. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
all right. So, as you move through this space, which we now know as a metaverse, right? Again, I'm gonna be a broken record. There are a few things that you should cherish and understand as we do this, right? This is essentially a video game, and I'm sure we all had our perceptions of what this thing was up until we put it on our faces and realized it was a lot more. But understand that however you move through this space, whether you decide to create with your hands, whether you decide to script, whether you decide to create with your mind, whether you just want to come and socialize with other people, understand that everything that you do now is going to be recorded for all of human history to go back and reference. This space is important to the fact that we are the first people in human history to go through this social experiment. And think about the impact and the gravity of that statement. Humans have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and we are the first people ever to do what we're doing, right? We don't know how to do it. Not everybody can answer every single question at every time. As knowledgeable as Oculus is and Pages and Bubble and CJ and everybody is in this space, we're all just
And
learning this together, every single one of us. And who?
And you.
Oh, you know, and me, right? And me, I mean, we are all learning this together, right? So we're gonna make mistakes. But there are things that are gonna happen that we haven't necessarily dealt with in the metaverse, right? Very human things that we do on a day-to-day basis. But now we have to worry about what does that interaction look like in the metaverse. I will tell you without a doubt that if something bad has happened to you here, and everybody I think has experienced something bad, that you now have the opportunity to curate your own reality within this space by the people you surround yourself with, right? Meta Talks Live came from a situation that I was not happy with, right? When I decided, and that was the one questionable time, I was like, do I really need to be in this space based on the way I feel right now? Because I can feel that same way in my physical world and not have to spend $400 to put a headset on to feel the same way. So I had to make a conscious decision about what my path forward was. My path forward was to create something that would bring me joy based on the things that I wanted to see. And everybody has that opportunity to do so. So curate your spaces, right? If something bad has happened to you, then don't go back to it because it's the past and we cannot change the past. Use that energy to move forward and create your community to do something dope. And in that you will be happy in this space, I guarantee you.
Confetti, y'all. Let's go.
Great
That
words.
was. I couldn't put it any
Now-
better than what he said.
Thank you.
Clean the whole
Los?
plate. You ain't leave nothing on the plate for us.
Yeah,
That
Los?
Real, right?
Meta clean the whole plate. That's what I'm gonna say right there.
You
I've been
guys
hurt
are
a lot,
awesome
so
panel. Yeah.
I figured it
I'm
out.
really glad that everything happens for a reason, and you guys definitely made the time. Out of everyone that I think we could have had, this was definitely a great blend. definitely OGs in the building. Yes, I'm so happy. Thank you guys for all
Well,
coming.
can I
OG.
just speak on that OG status real quick, right?
Yeah.
Because here's one thing that everybody should remember, right? What we do is not exclusive to what we do, right? The reason I think some of us have this acclaimed fame, and I know every single person on this stage doesn't feel like a famous person. We just move around a lot, right? But one thing that I know that we have all shared is that we have put in a lot of work to do what we do. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, right? So no matter what success looks like to you, right? Whether you want to be an OG or a top creator or whatever moniker is floated out there in the universe, understand that it comes with work, right? Anybody can achieve any of the success that any of us have achieved here. And again, I don't feel successful. I move around a lot, but my success comes from adding value to people. You have to find out what success looks like to you and move forward. And it's going to take time. It's going to be frustrating. You're going to go through bumps and bruises, but anything worthwhile is the same process, right? It's no different in the virtual world than it is in the physical world. Just put the work in and do things that make you happy and add value and bring joy to people, and you'll be fine.
Amen.
Why? And the thing
And I
I say
didn't
why
say that to clean the plate
Oh,
to
go
cut
ahead.
everybody off, because definitely want everybody to speak their final
Right.
words. I was just saying that was amazing, but I think everybody should have a chance to have their final words for sure. I don't want to cut
Sure.
them off.
Oh, I'm not cutting no one else. No,
so-
everybody.
so-
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure you weren't wrapping it on everybody, because I'd feel terrible. Be like, oh, Oculus said
Oh no,
Medicine
I was just saying
covered
thank
it. My
you.
bad.
No, I was just saying thank you. I was just saying that was great. Yeah.
The
Open
one
his
thing
face
that I
and
want to
crack
share
it.
with everybody, I do this every Sunday on my show. Look around the room wherever you're at. Like right now, just look at the people in this room. You might not know everybody that's next to you, behind you, in the other section, but I guarantee you there's people in here that you might not know, and if you connected with them, y'all could make some incredible things in here. There might be somebody who's not a builder and they're a community builder like me, and you might be able to connect with somebody who does give you opportunities to be able to either make money in here or express
Yeah.
creativity differently.
Sure.
I would have never met Paige had it not been for Facebook Connect. I hope that I would have met her along the way just because we would have crossed paths. But that was the very core moment in our friendship that just changed everything. We've been supporting each other since that day, and we continue to support each other. So anytime you're in a room, and especially in rooms like these, because you know that there are talented creators, there's talented scripters and builders,
Sure.
and there's just talented people out here in the physical world that you can connect with, and you can just grow whatever it is that you're doing to another level. So you need to rely on your community to help you find what it is, where your place is in here, in case you can't figure it out yet. They can encourage you to help you grow and build. But also, these people out here are the people that are filling your worlds. So the more that you support your community is going to support you back, and they're going to come to your world. They're going to share your world. They're going to invite their friends to your world. And without this community, if you look in your menu, I guarantee you there's about 10,000 plus worlds right now with nobody in them. That's because you need
Yep.
people in order to fill these worlds. So
Yep.
make sure that before you make an action against somebody out here, just because you may feel wronged, you may feel like a disagreement causes y'all now to publicly put it out there for others to take sides. Just think about the fact that there's nothing good that's going to come from that conflict unless y'all resolve it yourselves. Because when you start putting your business out there for other people to see, you can look in the comments. They grabbing their popcorn. They're taking sides. They're talking trash, and it's for clicks and it's for views. They don't care about your conflict, and they don't care about your position in the conflict. They're
Right.
getting the views, they're getting the reactions, and they're getting that bank. So you're paying for them with your conflict. So don't give it to them. Handle your business. I did it myself a number of times in here. I made the conscious effort to approach the person privately, but I also showed them respect because the beef was out there publicly, to just say I'm sorry, I was wrong. And if you can do that, y'all can build amazing things in here. So I encourage y'all to support each other, get through conflict the right way. If y'all don't agree, just respectfully go the other way. That's it.
And that's where I spoke before you. Good night. I'm going home.
Oh wow.
Thank you, Paige.
Oh my
That plate is
goodness!
empty.
How do I follow up such words?
Paige, I
of
know you
wisdom?
can. I know you can.
Thank you. Well, I always say that people who build together for a better world. And
Right.
this extends into filming, friending, following, thanking,
Yeah.
attending events, supporting, liking, right? When we're creating this ecosystem of trust, then what we're really doing, thank you, Oculos, what we're really doing is creating a safe pathway for these discussions that are happening here tonight. And really thank you to our hosts so much, and for you for showing up with this interest in what it means to have an ethical guideline over not only property but also behaviors. And these are the things that help not only create community but create a sustainable community that's healthy, that is equitable, that is diverse, that supports empathy, that upholds climate justice, right?
Wow.
So all of these things are the ingredients. Like if you're making soup, every one of them needs to be part of your worlds. It would be ideal if nobody ever entered your world and acted in a way that broke your heart, right? But
Right.
this is part of why it's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm not even a rules kind of person, but there's some guidelines. There's 5 things that could increase metaverse safety. And that's for legal objects as well as behaviors. And that is some rules and regulation, right? Having some parameters, what happens when somebody violates safety or IP rights, or user protection. What's going to users should be able to report inappropriate behaviors, right?
Right.
Like in the forums and in the using your voice, as well as appropriate penalties, right? That abuse and crime in the metaverse is just as harmful as in real life. If you are experiencing criminality, document it. And that documentation may help lawyers and regulators in the future, if not now. And 2 other things which will build the 5 is user identification, being your authentic self. And sometimes in some spaces, you may want to add an authentication process to enter your world if you feel that your world warrants it. And the last thing on my list of 5 things that could increase safety and ethical, legal, IP, and personal standards is usage restrictions. And sometimes people find more enjoyment in the metaverse than in real life. And this can lead to addictive behaviors, abuse, mental and physical health impacts. And that's okay. However, creating a healthy ecosystem also includes looking out for each other's behaviors and actions, and people can act in a way that's going off the wrong space if they're not regulating their needs, right? So listen to yourself as well. Listen to your inner voice and your inner compass. Is this the wrong behavior? Am I going into a personal conversation and videoing them and then remixing that and putting it all over my Insta, right? I mean, listen to, if your mom wouldn't be okay with it, maybe, or Meta wouldn't be okay with it, or if Tris Press wasn't okay with it, well, maybe listen to the voices around you, right? We all know
Thank you.
what's right or wrong. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much, Miss Page. Thank you for that wonderful insights. Miss Bubblegum Planet?
Okay, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate you staying with us. I'm going to say something and just make it really brief. When it comes to building here in the metaverse, whoever you decide to build with, if you decide to build with yourself or someone else, um, date whoever you're building. And I don't mean actually date, but actually have a relationship with them and get to know their
Yes.
morals. Because when you have morals, or when you get to know your partner's morals, you'll get to know their ethics. And those ethics will help you get to know them as a business partner. And that will help you a long ways with how you conduct business. And it'll basically save you from a lot of pain and heartache that you go through. So take what you've learned today from us and just go about like learning from our mistakes. Take that wisdom, make sure that you know your building partner through and through. And like Paige said, go with your gut. That's really important. Even though we don't have the facial cues or the person is in front of you, your gut knows. And I think you can tell from the way people act and treat one another, if they're going to be honest or they're going to be a good investment, because that's essentially what we're doing. We're investing in one another to create something, So good luck with everything. If you have questions, we're all here to help you. And we want to see you grow because your success is our success and vice versa. So good luck and have fun in the meta and protect yourself. Okay?
Thank you,
Such
Bubblegum
good
Planet, for
words.
that. Yes.
You guys are
CJ?
Aw,
CJ.
thanks, Miss Sag.
Well, first of all, I want to take the time out to thank all the panelists that came out. I mean, y'all didn't have to at all.
Y'all didn't.
I mean,
Y'all
when
made
y'all
it.
got
So
the,
happy to
when y'all
be
got
here.
the message and everything, y'all could have just been like, hey, this is just another message. Let me just not answer it. But y'all came.
No, I
in.
had to be here. You would have
came
never let me
early.
live it down. I ain't have a choice.
He wouldn't have.
You still gonna cash at me after this, right?
This was pro bono. This was pro bono.
If
yeah,
y'all don't know,
cash
I'm
app
tied up
for
in
it.
CJ's basement. I can't leave, so I have to be here.
Oh
so.
wow.
Don't believe him, people. People don't believe him. But please don't
It's on
believe
his
him.
live.
Is this live? Police is on their way.
But no,
An after
y'all
party?
didn't have to.
Mhm.
We're going to
After
Rupert's
party?
after this. We gonna
Good.
have to.
Party.
We're gonna have to go to Rupert's after this because
You're gonna
Metal
go see
Talks
Price.
is on.
I have one
Yeah.
more thing to say.
Yeah,
Price
but-
is tonight.
Yes.
Last thing is to wrap this
but
up.
thank y'all though.
Mhm.
But really,
before you
thank
say that-
Go
bro.
ahead. Go ahead, CJ.
Thank you,
Before you
CJ.
say that, yes. Go ahead, CJ.
Okay, but really, thank you. Like from the bottom
Thank
of my
you.
heart, and really to tell you the truth, somebody that really needs a lot of things that's underrated was Miss Page. Thank you.
Oh,
First
Oh,
25.
thank you.
in here.
First 25.
If it wasn't,
First
if it
25.
was not, if it wasn't
Confetti
for
for that.
you, a lot of us
Confetti,
would not
please.
be in here.
Confetti for that.
We wouldn't
from
be
the
here,
audience.
Paige.
Dare
Thank
somebody
you.
say they're the
She's
first
the most
artist in the
humble person
metaverse.
I've
I will
ever met.
personally
Ever.
fight that battle for you, Paige.
First 25.
You are not the first.
Indeed.
thank you. Thank
wow.
you for your
Thank you.
love.
You need a
Thank you
flag.
for being here. I hope I see a million homes and a million clubs and a million museums and a million gardens. This is what makes us
It makes-
thrive and
Yeah.
always just honor each other and love each other
But
like
only one
what we're
blackjack.
sharing up
We don't need
here
no
on
more.
stage. Thank you.
For his sake.
Thank you.
No more blackjack
For
words.
real.
Yeah.
And I
I ain't got enough
definitely
money.
wanted to make sure I thank you for that. Also, I want to thank Super. He didn't have to show up.
Thank
at
you,
all.
Super.
He
Woo-hoo.
showed up
Stream.
out of nowhere. Even though
did.
my bot wasn't here, it was here and disappeared. Nikki, thank you.
Nikki.
You appreciate it
Yeah.
very much. Vine, you already know what's up. But y'all appreciate it. And to my team, y'all, if I didn't learn one thing in here, that it's important to have a team and have people behind you that stand
Yep.
with you, to go all the way with you, because it's not good
Amen.
to be alone, go nowhere alone. The
Yep.
success is my success. My success is their success. If it wasn't for them, Horizon Radio would not be going on. We would have been quit.
Amen.
I want to thank my team that's in here, Horizoners, Trish, to Nikki, to Bubble, to Divine, Nikki, Shani, Westhold that's been the guard the whole time. Y'all give it up for
Yeah.
Terica. Man,
Miss
y'all.
Sag,
Thank you.
Thank
Nick.
y'all.
Bambi Pie,
And lastly,
all of you.
thank y'all all
All of y'all.
for showing
All
up.
of y'all.
All of you.
Because-
and singing. Woo!
For real,
Yes.
all of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
all of
much.
you.
Y'all made
Yes.
this a live
And
event.
We do,
Yeah.
and we did mention her name quite a few times for her Meta Pops, Miss Sadie Chan. If you do want
Yeah.
some,
Sadie
please
Chan.
DM
Yeah.
Sadie Chan. We have
Sadie
mentioned her
Chan's
name
over there,
throughout
over
this program.
there.
So yes,
Sadie,
Yeah.
Sadie, I want 2%, not 1%. I changed my mind. I want 2%
Right.
now.
You want some milk? You
I'll
need
take
some
the
milk?
1%.
Yeah.
Make
It just
sure
wants some
you
milk.
post your museum pops also in Women in Horizon.
Yeah.
Yes.
let's do
We
that. Yep.
celebrate your voices there.
Yeah.
You're all always welcome to
Yeah.
share us what you have. And then also there's the Metaverse IP copyright group. Make sure
Yes.
you join
Discord.
and add
Where's it at?
Discord. Yeah.
Discord.
Discord.
And use
I'm
a
gonna get the
voice.
information
Use
and
a
post it
voice.
to our
Use a
Horizon
voice.
page. So we need
Use a
that.
voice.
That would
voice,
be
y'all.
great.
yes.
30 plus
Great.
features
I really
in the
started
last
the
6
group
months because of
because
y'all.
I didn't know enough
Wow.
about it and I needed to learn more. So
And that's a
Being a
blueprint right there.
community.
Again.
So
with
lastly,
Sage
lastly, I
Jones.
want to thank everyone on the panel list, the
Thank
co-host,
you.
my co-host
Thank
Tress.
you.
I would like to thank her, CJ, the team, as well to the audience. You, the audience. If there's nothing else, go to Rupert's TED Talks
Meta Talk.
and Nick Nickens. They
I'll be
have
live
it today.
streaming that
Whoa,
too.
whoa, copyright
last
infringement.
words? Yeah.
Meta Talks.
Meta
Meta
Talk.
Talks, not
Meta
TED
Talks.
Meta
Talks.
Talks.
Meta
Meta
Talks
Talks.
live. Meta
Thank
Talks
you.
live.
See, there you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And
Thank
take pictures.
you.
Post it. Pictures. Take pictures. Selfies.
Good
Group
pictures. Come
photos.
on stage
Everything.
if y'all
Yay.
want
So this is-
Good night,
Yeah, come on
everybody.
stage if you want to
Good
picture with us.
night.
Have a
Good
photo.
night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good
Come
night,
on.
y'all.
Come on.
Thank you.
Now let's get a group photo.
You're amazing.
Y'all come
You're
over.
You're
amazing.
amazing.
Group photo.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome to share a stage with you.
Thank you so much. It's just such an honor to be with you. Thank you.
Group
Your
photo.
Love your words.
are important and wise, and you're just
I
such
can't
a
see
nice
everybody.
lady.
Hi.
Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, oh, Deb.
very much.
Hey,
Control.
You.
Nikki. Is Shawnee in here? Is Shawnee?
Photos.
5.
Johnny,
Come on, get in there. Get in there, Shawnee.
Hi. Give a hug. Mwah. Let me introduce you.
On 3.
Yeah.
1,
Mr.
2, 3.
All right, Chad. All right,
All
Chad.
right.
So we
Audience, y'all quiet a bit too. Audience, come on.
Rising
Come on,
Women.
audience.
Good head about
Come
my
on,
whole
audience.
picture.
town event.
Come on. Where's my Bambi?
Oh damn!
Bambi.
Wait, I can't even.
Come on, Wolfman.
Come on,
And Miss
Man,
Frank.
Sadie Chan, Victor 3000.
Yeah, come on in.
Come on over here.
Come on, Vic.
Rockstar.
Hey, somebody wake up Price. Somebody wake up
Somebody
Price.
wake up Price.
Don't forget about me. Don't forget about Super.
Right.
He is non-wakeable.
Don't forget about
You
Super.
had so many great nuggets of wisdom tonight. Thank you so much.
I am gonna go right
Bubblegum.
here.
Wait, don't forget
I
about
learned
me.
so much from listening to you.
On the count of 3, everyone.
I
1,
dissertation
2.
yesterday and today on it just really hit the spot.
Yeah, you know, it's funny for my job today. I created a whole.
they can see me. Hey
For
y'all.
2
All
hours,
right.
I created
We got 'em.
safety
She's so
tips.
Great job,
And
y'all.
so it really.
Thank you so much.
They did. It was like today. This is.
Where you going?
I gotta
Look all that red, look like cheer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Thank you for spending
right?
time and being here
Purpose.
tonight.
No, thank you. Like,
Use that energy for good.
Purpose.
Makes a difference.
Thank you.
anytime.
Came in on the end.
Let go.
And as soon as I'm
My
gonna go
echo.
Like forever.
Yeah.
go look for that
I'm
person
gonna
that
back
you're
you up.
looking for.
I
I'm
know
gonna
you're
find
not
them.
gonna
Bubblegum,
but
this
that
is
man-
Miss Sag.
Girl, when we first came in here, I had a lot.
I think
of
we've been in crossing before. I've definitely seen your
And
name.
yeah, they did a reset.
Oh.
And they changed the code.
All right,
Yeah.
make sure you get closed up.
My
Let me blow
childhood
you
friend
up.
was a Sagittarius. I don't think too many.
Hi, Nikki.
Your
Okay.
name.
I gotta go outside.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank y'all for coming
I'm
out,
gonna
man.
send you.
Are you still doing your
guys?
jet?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Thursdays. Thursdays.
Curry, thank you for the glow.
Add me
And
in.
the thank you. I appreciate that.
8:30
Hey.
Central,
Appreciate it,
9 Eastern, 6:30.
When I wasn't expecting y'all to stay the whole time.
Yeah, I'm
Pacific.
Okay, perfect. 6:30.
I'm sorry, I
That's
didn't
not
hear
your.
They have a lot of
Oh, no, not
questions.
sorry. I'm pretty much off.
What up, y'all? What up, y'all?
I work from home, so.
Did they have a lot of questions?
Don't worry, I'm just being weird.
Somebody I've been trying to come for a while, but I always miss it.
Oh, I would love to have you there. Let me just make sure we are friends.
community?
Oh, yeah, we are.
No, we had a maybe two good questions.
Did you change your name?
We had a good discussion.
I did.
Probably not for the-
Okay.
The word,
I'm gonna make a
account
difference.
migration made me change it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, good job. Good to see you.
So it was Better World, and now
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Metaverse page.
Thanks for coming.
That's cool, though. That's awesome, though.
No problem, no
Thank
problem.
you.
All right,
Glad to
chat.
have
So
you.
we are logging out. I just want to say again, we are
Listen,
here in
Monterey,
Horizon
It was really a
News and
wonderful
radio
to
news for the
commune
town
and
hall
gather
event.
with you.
We had an amazing
You have
panel of guest
wonderful
speakers that shared their
presence and
inside and just
importance.
talked about Horizon.
I can't wait to support your
We are going to be ending the stream now, but don't go too far. We are coming back at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Please tune in for Meta Talks live at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Special guest will be I Go By Price. So you'll be getting alert and notification out when the live stream is up. But yeah, tune in. It's going to start in less than an hour. So we'll catch y'all later. We're going to end the stream. And hold on real quick. I just want to give a big shout out to the boy Harley Mack out here, man. Harley Mack, bro, he killed it, bro. He made the first music video in the meta. I need y'all to listen to it real quick. This should go crazy. And after this, we gonna end the stream. Appreciate y'all.
We taking over the
meta. We taking over the verse. I ain't gonna say we the best, but I say we're not the worst. Mac done linked up, we came. Cheeks put it in a frame. Yeah, whole lives getting changed. This shit really ain't no game. They don't want smoke, that's on sip. I bring my A game, they on Z's, that's on rip. Keep the drama away from me, shit get crazy. I can't deal with no fakies, that's on Davey. Yeah. Meanwhile, kicking way back like an ad-lib back in Mac crib. We was having a little bash till the world crashed cause of the capacity. It was wild, brother. World hopping in style, brother. Dropped us off at the bunkies. Oh shit, there go Nuggies. We taking over the meta. We taking over the verse. I ain't gonna say we the best, but I say we're not the worst. Mac done linked up with Kane. Cheeks put it in a frame. Yeah, whole lives getting changed. This shit really ain't no game. Just sizzle online down. Where the fuck you at, boom? Hughes online down. Where the fuck you at, boom? Fuck it online down. Where the fuck you at, boom? Matlow online down. Where the fuck you at, boom? We taking over the meta. We taking over the verse. I ain't gonna say we the best, but I say we're not the worst. Mac done linked up with Kane. Whoever they are, they bout to know who the fuck we are. This might put them in the VR, ER. I'm just saying, we taking over the meta. We taking over the verse.